Welcome to HB Tuner's GM Gen 5 Training Part 5. In this training module, we're going to be learning to work with filters in our VCM scanner. We have a lot to cover. Let's jump in so we can check this out.
Okay, so let's get started. We're going to be taking a look at understanding our filter function in our VCM scanner. We're going to learn how we can work with filters to filter out bad data. Now I'm going to go over a couple different scenarios. We can take a look at some data logs we have in our sample data log folder to understand why and when we use our filter functions. I'm going to be showing you some of the more common filters that I use. We're going to find that the histograms within the VCM scanner, we talked about histograms in our last tutorial, the histograms will already have pre-populated filters in them, but it's good to understand how the filters are applied. If you want to remove a filter, you're certainly able to do so, and you'll have a little bit of a background knowledge to understand what is going on within the VCM scanner. So let's jump in and take a look at our VCM scanner real quick. I'm going to move from my VCM editor into the VCM scanner here. Now in our VCM scanner, what I'm going to do is actually source a few different data logs so we can take a look at the filtration function. Let's jump in and take a look at this first. I'm going to go and just jump into our sample data logs folder. We're going to find that in our Gen 5 course right here, our main course folder. Sample data logs, advanced closed loop tuning is the subfolder that I'm in here. We can pretty much grab almost anything. What I'm actually going to do right now is go in here to our closed loop MAF tuning folder, and we'll grab our closed loop MAF tuning drive 1. Let's open up this data log and let's take a look at it. Now, if we jump in here, and we're specifically taking a look at our mass airflow operation. Again, we'll talk about how these histograms work and how we can use them for calibration purposes in separate tutorials. We're just interested in how we want to filter out the data. If I go and right click here and I go into graph layouts, I can take a look in the background in my histogram makeup. We can find that we have our information here that makes and creates the histogram that we see in our software. What I'm going to be specifically taking a look at and talking about in the tutorial is going to be our filtering function. The filtering function can be applied or taken away at any given time. It is going to be filtering out the data that you've already captured in a data log. So you're able to edit this and change this at any point, and it does not affect the data capture or the data log itself. This is just filtering out what you've already collected in terms of that data. So we can see here in this filtering in the function, I have these functions written. We can see there's a whole bunch of different functions written. This is going to be filtering out data that we don't want to have when we're collecting our information here in this mass airflow specific closed loop histogram. If we take a look at the MAF open loop, we have a few filters here that are being applied that we can work with. Now we can go in here and change around the filters for any of our histograms. Let's start to break down and take a look at the filters, and then what we'll actually do here, let me go in and grab all of the values in here. We'll just erase these values, and then I'll talk about why and when we want to add specific values here. So let's jump in. I'm going to take a look at my MAF closed loop. We can see right now that we do have data plotted in our histogram. If we're just scrolling through here, we can see that it's putting some data information in here. Now this is going to be our closed loop field trims. We'll have a separate tutorial again talking about this. This is used to calibrate the mass airflow sensor. But when I remove that filtering functions that we had in the histogram, it's going to allow more data to come through that may or may not be beneficial, and in most times we don't want to put unfiltered data into the histogram because we use the histograms to populate and tune tables, in this case the mass airflow table. We don't want to go put bad data in the MAF table. We'll find that we get really bad results. We don't want to go in and skew this up. So anything that we're doing in the histogram, it's a good idea to have some type of filtering function depending on the specific aspect or the specific purpose of the histogram. These histograms that we're finding right here, the first few, these are for calibration of our airflow modes, so speed density and mass airflow, or the combination of both. We'll learn about how we can combine both and calibrate both at the same time. Either way, we don't want bad data coming into our airflow modes. We do have our other the other histograms here. This is going to be histograms that are created, and we'll look at this when we talk about the closed loop field trims. This will allow us to track where we're at in terms of our airflow mode. This will make a bit more sense at that point in time when we're trying to look at closed loop behavior. But the purpose right here, looking at the actual filtering function, I don't want to go and filter out anything in these histograms, but I do want to filter out within these histograms because this is going to be used for calibration purposes. This is really just used for data collection and analysis purposes. So they have two different kind of functions depending on what we're trying to do with the histogram. So in this case, we want to actually use the filters for anything that we're using for calibration and tuning, which is our first few histograms here. Now, let's jump in And let's take a look at our Excel spreadsheet that's provided in our Gen 5 course folder. We can take a look at that. I actually have filters laid out, and we can see exactly how the filters are built, and we'll talk about what the mathematical expressions represent. So I'm going to be giving you the more common filters that you can work with, that I work with on a pretty frequent basis. Let's jump in here and take a look at our Excel spreadsheet. In here, this is our GM Gen 5 Excel calculator. This is a massive spreadsheet. I'm building pages as of...
Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here. And you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.